Hello, hello, hello. Let's get started. It is good to be back. Let's jump right on in. So yesterday, if you recall, we got a bunch of science. We had our weirdly, I don't know, it's kind of failed. We had a delivery of a Mun rover. But it was failed in the sense that we didn't actually land it adequately on the Mun. Nevertheless, though, we can get a new contract. We can get that done. We need to get something on a flyby. This will be finishing, and we need an altimetry scan of Minimus, and that's this one in 3 days. So before we get to those, we can get started with new stuff. Now, I've also been thinking, either that we may want to get a comms network in orbit of the Mun to avoid the problem we had landing our first orbiter. And the other thing, hello, I kind of want to get our plane out there again. So maybe this will be interesting to do depending on what that gives us. You want a specific satellite? These are, the satellites, as I said, are the money makers. But ooh, maybe if we check out what this is, it wants a specific rover to that location, though. That's a little bit weird. If I decline the contract, that gives us -1 reputation. Might as well just leave it standing out. Maybe just to warm up, let's see what that fly mission is. Altitude, those are on the surface. There's, oh, wow, these are all at the North Pole. That is difficult. That is very difficult to do with the plane we have, because the plane we have, I don't know, it would take a long while. It might get, so far we've been able to fly it, I think. No, we haven't even been able to fly it here. I'm not sure it would easily get there. We might need to make a different plane to do that. Huh. Let's see. They've got a Byronic debris. Highlander debris, huh? Yeah, let's see. This one will delete. Terminate. This one we can watch burn up if we'd like. You know what? Let's have a quick look at it burning up while we think of what we do. So how are you doing, Huther? How is... Oh. This is not worth watching burn up. How is Stellaris treating you? Destroy Götterdämmerung. Now the rest of these... Oh, this is the probe that we want to see destroyed. So if you recall, that was the rocket stage. We just hadn't marked this as debris. Because, if you remember, this has a rocket probe on it, but we have no lander. Also doesn't have any fuel left. So this is one we can watch explode. Let's fast forward until it does. For science! So, here's what I want you to pay attention to. This is going to drop to 70k. That is going to be when we enter the atmosphere, and you'll see that the acceleration will stop at that point. 70k is the exact edge of Kerbal atmosphere. Boom. We suddenly drop out, we get the 4-time physics acceleration. Because we are now in atmospheric drag. At this point, this vessel is basically destroyed. We're not going to get it out of there. If we escape, go to the... escape to the space center, this will just be assumed to be destroyed. But you can already see it's reorientating itself now, based on the atmospheric pressures. Heaviest thing goes front, lightest thing goes to the back. And because we're moving at 3,000 meters per second, 3 kilometers a second, while we're up here, we're already getting heavy temperature effects. Now, these bars are the heating bars that will end up destroying this craft. It's going way too strict in there. You can also see that the apoapsis is lowering. This would... Sometimes we'll want this. Look at that overheating of the engine. Sometimes we'll want this, because this is called aero braking if you do it in a controlled manner. That way you don't have to spend any delta V or any fuel, you just let the air brake and pull down your apoapsis. Without any heat shield though, you get massive overheating and this thing will destroy itself. Although, actually, now that the engine is pointed towards the back, I was assuming that this was going to be pointed towards the front, I mean, because of the legs. With the engine, that might have quite some heat resistance so far, so this might possibly slow down or survive the re-entry heat. Those fins, though, I don't know. See, because it's getting closer and closer to overheating. Not that close. Okay, that camera change happens when you've really caught orbit, when the game has decided you are not returning to Kerbal. You're returning to space, I mean. This descent is actually shallow enough for it not to be destroyed right away by pressure, etc. And with the engine in back here, I think this is actually going to survive the re-entry heat. So we're going to see this baby crash into Kerbal. Huthor is doing good, Stars is going well, the slaves are still acting up, but hey-ho. Huthor, have you already had a robot uprising once? I tell you, when your robots get to be too sentient because you're too lazy, you're in trouble. Okay, so note the speed here and the height. These combined determine whether or not you get these thermal effects. Right now we're in high atmosphere, but generally something above 1 kilometer a second will get you re-entry heating. But you can see now, since we're only ever decreasing our speed and the stress on the engine has already been removed, this thing's not going to burn up. So I feel safe fast forwarding. We're going to hit the lighter atmosphere. And now you can see below 1,000. We slow down. We still have aerodynamics because we're above Mach 1. There we go. Now, this thing is just going to get destroyed by crashing in somewhere. I was not expecting that. And by the way, now with the heavier atmosphere, you can see that this probe is trying to reorient itself to put the fins in the back. Oh no, actually, no, it's doing some weird stalling. That's weird. But yeah, it put the fins in the back. Loud noises! You rely on the pliable minds of the squishies for your labor. Good choice, Huthor, good choice. In my oppressive regime, I have used robots, but just made sure not to give them too much AI and control. So, here's our options. We have 190. I need 160. I need 250 to get the copulas that I want to use to land on the Mun. However, this 45 contains a better engine that we could use on our planes. That might be very interesting. Plus, this gets us a better protective shell and the crew cabins that we can use to start making air brakes. We can use those to start making those tourist runs. You know what? I'm buying this. I'm buying aviation. Oh, subsonic flight. That's new. Control surfaces. Airplane main wing. Tail fins, okay. Specifically subsonic flight. Fan engine. Tiny counter-rotating ducted fan engine with both traditional engine throttle controls as well as RCS controls. Say what? I have never seen that before in my life. Okay, that's about as much as we're going to spend from that. Now maybe we buy into one of these with 90. Extra probe cores and docking ports might be fun, but I think the simple command module is what we're going to buy into. Because, as I said, we need to get to those. I haven't seen this one before. I don't know what this is. Landing colony modules. I don't think I have any colony things yet, except for these storage things that I got somewhere. KIS I had before. Weren't they down here somewhere? Oh yeah, these types of storage things. So we don't know about these. We can have a look. Integrated avionics, basic life support recycler, ideal for colony dropships. To crew, might be something to look into. But okay, we bought a better plane item for aviation, so let's design an aeroplane that'll help us meet this mission. Below these three things, really high up on the North Pole. These others take pressure readings. Where is this? Near sight. Okay, that's all the way over there, but multiple sites. It might be easier, actually, if I land a lander over there. And then do those. I don't know, let's focus on our mission to the North Pole. There we go. We might want to upgrade this one now, since we have the money. Because now we have 30 parts, I want something with more parts in basic action groups. And this one as well, because it can only have certain vessel sizes and weights. We'll upgrade this as well. Look at that. The increase in weight from 18 tons to 140. And the vessel size is a massive increase. But also, you may not have noticed that, we had a dirt road before. Now we have a nice flat cemented road, which will also help with our takeoffs and landings. That's not as bad as it used to be. It used to be that the unupgraded landing strip was worse than the grassland next to it. So you just ended up using that. That was absolutely ridiculous. But fortunately, that is no longer the case. Now, this thing... This is the worst timing. Same thing yesterday. Okay. Silence. Why on earth? Oh, that's the last flag we accepted. This was the Huthor flag, the Huthor mission flag. What mission is this? I don't exactly know what company this is for. Oh, that's cool. A rescue mission flag. ISRU. Grand Tours. No. Base construction. No. The UK Space Agency. Really now. There we go. It's just a... It's a line. There. Now, all we need to do is take thermometer readings. So I want to see about making this plane as light as we can make it. As small, as agile as we can get. So I want a liquid fuel part to meet the... What was it? The Juno's the basic engine. This is the Weasley turbofan. Now let's see what the difference is. For one, it's far heavier. It is 6 times heavier. But it also has 6 times more thrust. It needs way more intake air. Look at that. Intake air is 1.4 per second. Liquid fuel is 0.064. This thing does 0.2 and needs 30 air intake. The efficiency though, engine ISP 10,000 at surface level, compared to the 6,000 that the Juno has. And a lot more output for electric charge. So this, low cruising speeds and altitudes is what it's recommending. This is not bad. Maybe though, considering the amount... I don't have an air intake that I can put on the front there. But I want to see if we can boost this up further. We had engine nacelles. Were those on their aerodynamics? Engine nacelles. A self-contained solution for powering air-breathing engines. Includes some reserve fuel, making it a very practical option. Optimal for subsonic flight, includes very powerful static suction. So it's a 5 intake of air, has a little bit of liquid fuel. So how about we add some of these with, I think it was a structural thing that we got as well. There we go, these, the hard points. So structural pylon for engine support. Oh, that's cool. You can... These are things that you can actually... these are coupling things. Let's put 2 small ones on there. I like this forward angle. So we could potentially even decouple our engines should we find the need to do so. So these are large intakes, and I believe... Oh, so we can do something like that. Then we have intakes and engines in the exact same space. Let's get 3 of these turbofans then. Let's make this... Let's see... How much thrust? That's 120. Let's see how hard we can cycle this thing up. Now, let's perhaps make this the start of something that looks like a space plane. It's not going to be a space plane. It's not going to be able to reach orbit at all. It's not even going to be able to reach suborbital speeds. But I want to see how far we can go with this baby. There we go. Let's see. We're gonna need some control, so we're gonna have to use some elevons for that. So we're clipping these. It's a bit of a shame, but let's see where we can go with it. There. So my goal is make these align as much as we can. There we go, like that. Whoa. To give it a little bit more of a shuttle look, you know, with the curved rear there. Now the only question is, do we do a single tail fin? Let's have a look. Single tail fin will look like this. A double tail fin, what could it mean? Look like that. Makes it look like a cool bomber. But I think a single tail fin, I want it to be thin, basically. I want it to be as lightweight as we can make it. Let's see by moving this baby back. So again, just visually That looks nice. Let's see. Center of mass. Center of lift. Oh, this is bad. Now, this thing doesn't matter for that. Because if you remember, it's just the mass. Lift has to do with the wings and how they're positioned. Actually, this is good. Wait, I'm completely turning these around. You want your center of lift to be behind your center of mass. That's a good thing. Now, calculating. We have engines that need 30 intake per second. 30 intake. We have engine nacelles that provide 5 each, so 30 per take. So we need 90 in total, and we have 10 right now. Are we even going to be able to do this? You know what? Let's just take it for a test spin in a moment. And we'll see whether or not we can get this done. Okay, other landing gear. Let's get 2 of these babies. We want these close behind the center of mass so that it lifts up well enough. I don't like it that close. Let's put it like that. Gonna try uplifting a species of sapient cockroaches. What could go wrong? I don't think that's the universe I want to live in, Huthor. Sapient cockroaches. Darn it. I messed things up. I thought that was a problem. Okay. There. We want these things to be attached to the side here. This. I was just going to see if I could make these smaller. I wonder what that changes. But you know what? Let's, for the start, for the first mission, just enlarge these. And we'll get these back. Move them to the back. Okay. There we go. That is your basic plane right now. Let's assume that it has the electricity to start. Now, make sure we... There. Make sure we get the stages right. We want these things to be able to fire. We want these drogue chutes to help us land. We're gonna put on these parachutes as emergency landing situation. Maybe we don't want those wings, those structural bits staged, but we turn them on as staged things. A little bit too late, they're clipped in right now. Let's call this the X1 Polar Jet. Do we have a nobody that we could put in here? Jebediah has some XP. Sorry, Valentina. You just have less XP than Jebediah right now. Am I forgetting crucial things right now? Let's adjust. This, we just want to involve in yaw operations. How about this? We only want to involve in roll and pitch. But this one we only want to involve in pitch. So we have this whole surface for pitching and these outer bits for rolling. And even then we want the authority limiter maybe to be halfway there, I think. Oh, I had it. There we go, 50. Doesn't need to be 50. Doesn't even need to be the same thing. I just like it to be 50 exactly. This is one of my gripes. I want to be able to double click or right click and enter this figure. But at the same time, in reality, 50, 51, it's not really that much of a difference in this case. So, let's test this jet. Sapient cockroaches, Huthor, you are insane. Okay, this is just to test what we have here. By the way, notice how this runway is now a lovely cement runway. Okay, those controls are working. We are reaching high speeds very swiftly, which is good news. We should be flying to the north like this. Let's say we put this as a navigation target. Where's our navigation target? Did we not activate navigation? Whoa. I want to leave map view, Kerbal? There we go. So, let's look at some stats here. Let's level off. No, level off, please. Level off. Level off, I say, Valentina.